if I did this because it's not working. So if it is, but there's nothing there. Yeah, hey. It's just like, okay. Yeah, okay. What do you think I'm doing right now, man? It's live right now. Yeah. It's 9:59. She didn't have to do that. She just had to go in We have to type out a description so people will see something. Is it delayed?
Good morning, everybody. It's Happy Little Landscapes. We're on live for the first time ever on YouTube, also on Facebook. First kind of simulcast. It's a historic moment this morning. Always technical difficulties when we go live. Let's see. So we'll get it figured out. First, I want to thank you guys for showing up today. We're going to go on a 16 by 20 inch canvas this morning. We're going to go on a 16 by 20 inch canvas this morning. We're going to get it figured out, I promise. So hit that subscribe button, share the link, like this post, and comment your favorite colors. We'll see if we can't work them into a painting like this today. I'm going to go for a sort of a sunset scene. The guys on Facebook have seen it. I've been promoting it. So we'll show you guys how to do a sunset. Live from the studio this morning in fabulous Las Vegas, right? Hit that share button and let's get rocking and rolling. We have mid yellow, lemon yellow, yellow green, phthalo green, sap green, dark sienna, sky blue, Prussian blue. Let's go. Alizarin crimson, midnight black, titanium white, bright red, yellow ochre, cad yellow, this kind of orange, red, purple, and violet. And we'll see if we can't come up with something crazy today, okay? So let's get rocking and rolling. Of course, we have our paint thinner that we have, this Jasco brush cleaner. Got our beater bucket for those of you that have never seen me paint before. Kind of helps us beat the devil out of the brush and keep the house nice and clean. So we usually make our paintings up as we go along. There's really never a set sort of template that we do. So let's just get rocking and rolling, right? We're going to paint a sunset. We're going to have a colorful sky. Always gotta have a colorful sky. So we're going to do a little bit of the yellow ochre, the cad yellow, and the bright red. We're going to use our little can technique this morning. Sort of make this bright area where maybe our sun is up in the sky, right? Just like that. I'm going to try to keep that area a little bit whitish and not really necessarily much. I'm going to eventually blend over it a little bit, but In order to keep this bright area, you use a can or a Red Bull can, you can use a soda can, you can use a cup, you can use whatever you want. That's how we do stuff around here, you guys know me. We spend our money on our paints and brushes and literally make everything else up, right? Alright, we're going to a little bit more of those three colors, sort of mixing right here on the brush. Come down a little bit. I like how this sky is turning out already. You just set the world on fire. Sort of making these crisscross strokes. We're really not trying to blend it out too much. Let's see. I want to have this light area, so even when we swipe over it, it's going to stay light. I don't want the sun to be there, but it's going to stay sort of light. Going to our dark crimson to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a darker red buffer around this whole thing here. Like I said, we're just literally making this up. I've never done a sky like this. I hate painting the same paintings over and over and over again. So try something new, right? You never know how it's going to come out. Always got to finish the sides, though. Always finish the sides. I don't know if you're a buyer, someone's going to find a painting. Speaking of which, go to etsy.com/shop/happylandscape. You can purchase one of my paintings, t-shirts, pillows, blankets, flip-flops even. I've got flip-flops in the shop now. I'm going to go into our phthalo blue here. Stay around the edges. Again, you want to leave this, bit of space in between, so when we start blending, all of your blues don't blend into your yellow and go green. Wouldn't look bad. Green sky's nice. I have a couple of green sky videos on the channel. But for this one, I want to keep it sort of nice and bright in that area. Then we'll sort of figure out what else we're going to do, right? Never really know. A little bit of our midnight black up at the top up here. You guys who watch me all the time, you guys know what we do. We finish the sides, right? Gotta finish the sides. Gotta finish them. Takes about 3 seconds to finish the sides. And it'll just help your paint sell better. It's got this white edge around this real messy white edge. People are going to think it's unfinished, right? Alright, we're not over blending anything. Just kind of leaving these kind of throwing the color up there. Gotta get it on the canvas first, right? See what it looks like here real quick. Who knows? There's a streak of black in there. You can literally do whatever you want to do. It's the best part about painting. You can have a purposeful, happy, relaxed in it, right? And it will still look great. Fantastic. Alright, we're going to go and wash off this morning's brush, and we use it again later. Like I said, the beater bucket helps keep your house nice and clean. Mine just has a golf ball basket down on the bottom. Painter on budget, right? So I just make up a lot of stuff that I use. Anytime you hear that sound, you see a different frame, it's time to clean your brush, right? Like I said, like to interact with the audience around here, so make your suggestions, see what color we should use, what we should do, throw a mountain, throw 2 mountains in, we can do the whole thing full of mountains. We can do trees, no mountains. We can put a UFO in the sky. Suggest something and we'll try to work it into this painting. But you gotta be quick, because I'll just keep going. No one says anything, I'm gonna keep going, okay? Always want to have your brush dry. That's what we're doing down here on the table. Sort of hitting it onto the paper towel, get the brush nice and dry before you go back up and start mixing it again. Going to our 2-inch brush right here. I use the Bob Ross 1 and 2-inch brushes. Everything else you can really get from Hobby Lobby, the filter brushes, fan brushes, stuff like that. But I love the Bob Ross 1 and 2-inch brush. I'll never stray from these. Buying them over and over and over again. Okay, so we're going to come into our lightest area up here. We're going to swipe over that little sun. We're still going to leave this kind of bright area in the sky. We can even take a bit of our titanium white and just make this bright area right here in the sky. And as we go, we're going to work around. We're going to go outwards. Right, I'm not going to hit my blue section yet because I don't want to go crazy green up here. Stay into our crimson. Bring it over nice and soft, right? Don't want to be able to tell where the reds and the yellows and everything else were. Same thing out here. Come in. Just start blending those lines together so there are no hard lines. I don't want to see a rainbow up here. You know what I mean? That may be what you want. A mountain with a cabin. Everybody loves cabins. Little cabin off in the distance. You can do that, Cynthia. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to go across this whole sucker right here, okay? And if you've done your job well enough, you can go from the blue over into your yellow. And if you're blended out enough, then it's not going to go crazy. All right, then we got this sort of brighter area to our sky, kind of fading off into the darkness, right? Into the sun setting, just right over here out of the frame that we can't see. If you're painting along with us today, when you get finished, send your paintings into Facebook. You can go to at Happy Landscape Art, which will take you to my Happy Love Landscapes Facebook page. You can always watch me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram at Happy Little Landscapes, YouTube at Happy Little Landscapes, or youtube.com/Happy Little Landscapes. You'll find all my stuff. And of course, go to my Etsy shop, etsy.com/shop/Happy Landscape Art, which will take you to my Happy Little Landscapes Etsy shop, where you can purchase anything you want. I have loads and loads of products. The more you guys purchase for me, the more canvases I can buy, the more free videos I can bring to you, right? Right. I always love taking a little bit of the liquid white from down here, and you can just brighten up any area of your sky just by grabbing that liquid white from down on the bottom down here. Cover over the sides. Nice and blend it out. See, yours isn't just as red as you want back in here, right? Throw a little red in there. Come back in. Literally do anything you want. Doesn't have to look like mine. Just kind of showing you the technique, and let you run with it, right? Painting by Josh. Make a mess. That's what we do. Make a mess. Kind of show you how to make it look cool. I might even want to throw a UFO up in this. So nice already. You guys know me. The UFO landscape painter, right? Hashtag UFO landscape painter. Gotta stand out from the crowd. Wash our little brushes off here and get rocking and rolling. Now, if you painted with me before, you know I love my dramatic skies. I don't like to leave it just a cloudless sort of sky. So what we'll do for that is we'll throw in our shadows of our clouds first, and then we'll go back and blend them out, show you how to make them look cool while my yellow starts to run, literally run off of the palette. That would irritate me. It's never just a smooth filming when we film with Josh, right? All right, let's go into our bright red. Right into the bright red, guys. We're going to go up here. We're just going to make this kind of squiggly motion with our cloud. Right? It's going to stand out very softly in this lighter area. You want it to be a little bit darker. You can come in with that dark red or the light red, bright red, dark, bright. Just make a little bit of this distinction of a cloud here in our sky. A little bit different from the actual sky color, a little bit darker. And then we can come in. We'll say we'll grab some crimson. Got a little bit of the black mixed in there just because they're so close, but it really doesn't matter. So we got that cloud over here. We're going to bring this big sucker over this way. Connect to that cloud at some point down there. Just change the color. Come in with our circular motions like this, right? A little bit of pressure. Not trying to blend it all the way out. You want to have, this distinction in the color. Differences in color. I'm always saying. Gotta have differences in color. Throw some midnight black in there, so we've got shadow colors for our clouds. A little bit of that Prussian blue. Who knows? Come up here. Maybe off the canvas. We got this bigger kind of blue cloud. A bit darker, staying up out of our yellow zone, right? And leaving spaces in between the clouds, so it looks like there's depth, okay? And we'll mix the yellow, the crimson and the blue, and we'll come in here with this darker purple guy down here. Again, leaving spaces in between. Don't want to have the clouds on top of clouds on top of clouds, right? Maybe he's kind of coming over in front. Maybe it wraps up this way. Never know what it's going to do. You can always go down further than you think you need to, and then end up covering it with a mountain, or we're doing whatever. It's totally up to you. Take a little bit of that blue, and then we'll have three different shadow colors right in this big cloud up here. Come down. And again, if our paint is blended enough, you can go with this blue down into your yellow and not have to worry about it going green. Maybe this red guy's got some darker blue shadow in there. And you can see we've left these spaces in between the clouds, which will create this crazy depth. We go to put the white in, and you'll see it's almost like we've got this kind of whirlwind of clouds that are going in. There's a black hole back here, right? Another dimension we're going to. Gotta make up your own little stories when you paint yours, okay? All right, now we can go in with our whites. We already have these shadow colors kind of laid out. When we mix our white in, it's going to pick up all these different colors, okay? So we're going to come in, and we'll put a little bit with the palette knife down in here, just kind of dropping it on. Not too thick. Of course, leaving spaces, not covering all of our shadows up, right? Don't want to cover all of these. Otherwise, why did we put them up there? We could have just mixed the colors right here on the palette, right? Kind of staying on the edges of our shadows. You get all these cool colors. And again, even with our light paint, we're leaving spaces in between so it can blend, right? You don't want to have too much white. Then you can. It's just going to cover over everything. Let's see. Come up here. A little bit on that side. Again, you don't have to connect them. You don't have to do anything. Just literally make it up as you go along. Just don't cover all of your shadows, and leave yourself some spaces. And we'll show you this cool trick. And all these different crazy kind of cloud shapes, circles. They don't all have to be straight lines, right? You can even take one. Shoot it right there with just no shadow or anything. You have to do anything you want. Wash off our 1-inch brush again. So it's nice and clean and dry. My paper towels always end up looking like a Monet painting over here. All these beautiful colors kind of all over the place on the paper towel. Okay, so we'll come up here. We're just going to take the top corner of the brush, right? Kind of on a 45-degree angle to the canvas. Top corner. We're just going to lightly just disturb what this cloud looks like. We don't want to blend it all out. Otherwise, it would disappear. We just want to mess with the paint just a little bit and go circles in this way. Really doesn't matter what you do. You just want to kind of disturb what it looks like. Disturb this knife shape, right? But still leaving some white. The more you mix it, the less white it's going to be, and the more it's going to mix all these little shadowy colors, and we're not going to have distinction of white in there, right? Come back. Again, the reason we leave these spaces when we mix it, it doesn't touch, right? They want to come down and be mixed in with each other too much. I want to have these spaces or little bits of light, black or purple, whatever shadow color that you chose. Even within the cloud itself, you want to have all these differences in color. That's what I'm always preaching. Differences in color. What is the point of adding all the whites and the colors and stuff if we're just going to cover everything up? You know what I mean? Swipe it over. You can swipe them up. Swipe them over just to get the desired effect that you want. Right? Not too hard. Otherwise, you'll blend them all away. But now we've got this wicked kind of sky wrapping around all these sorts of clouds everywhere. It's very simple. It's very simple. I see people all the time that say, "Oh, I have trouble with my clouds. I can't make them look, right in their mind." Well, follow my channel, share my pages, right? You can do it. You just gotta make a mess, and then come back in. And see what it looks like. See, I've even left some of that orangey, yellowy color down below. Sort of mixed in with this purpley color. Everything's very hard to tell where it's starting and stopping, and everywhere else. Nice blended sides. Just like so. Looks like we've got our little sunset falling down over here. We'll go throw in some mountains. Maybe this whole cloud might be covered in a mountain. You never know. You never really know what it's going to do. So always go down a little bit further than you think you need to with your clouds or your sky. Because you never know what's going to happen. You could have a whole huge bit of mountain and lose all these clouds. Whatever. Literally up to you. And I always make mine up as I go along. You know what I mean? I barely ever plan out it. Just kind of put the clouds there. Okay, look cool. The mountain is like right underneath this cloud. Blend it out. See what happens. See where to go from there. The canvas will tell you what to do depending on how you blend it. If you guys know me, you know how we make our mountains, right? Three favorite colors over here: crimson, black, and blue. Throw in some green, put some of the red in there. Throw some of this violet in there. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Throw some orange in there if you wanted to. I'm just gonna mix it all up into this dark color. It's gonna look almost black. I really want to mix it. Don't want to have any colors showing. You want it to look real dark. I always try to do this. So I forget to do it. I'm on camera and I'll have it down here so you guys can't even see. Let's see here. We have no comments from anyone today. My beautiful wife has moderated the comments. So if you've got a suggestion on a color, or if you want a big tree, you want a cabin, like Cynthia said. Cynthia, right?
Thomas Moore says, your clouds always look so great. I know clouds are supposed to look like a mess, but mine actually look
Well, that's what they're supposed to look like, Tom. We gotta look messy. Alright, so we got our dark color here. Look at that, I mixed it like 6 times. We still got some orange and red. Trying to shine through all this darkness. Okay, what is our mountain gonna look like? Is the question. I really like this section of clouds over here, which will make you change your idea. You do something, you'll paint something. I might have had a certain plan for this canvas, and it looks so good the way it is. I change your whole idea. Because again, one of the best parts of painting, you can do whatever.
Mr. Halley 34 on YouTube says, love following you when painting.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Halley. Is it Halley or Hale? Okay.
Halley.
Okay. All right. Let's decide. Come down. We got our mountain mostly out of frame right here. Come down over here. Again, just dropping the color on. We don't want to have it a straight line, right? Maybe put a little hump every so often. We'll come down here. Save that pretty cloud back there. Come underneath these clouds. It's one thing when I was watching Bob Ross, and he never says is what he's doing. But if you watch where he puts his edges, the edges always incorporate them, so they'll come down underneath and like save a bit of that light that's underneath the cloud without telling you about it. You know what I mean? The more and more you study him, you're like, just this little bit will catch your eye right underneath the clouds. It's such a great thing that he used to do. Let's see. And always remember, you don't have to have pointy mountains, right? It can be rounded. It can do whatever you don't want to have these. You don't want to have these pyramids out there. Right? You can make it flat across the top if you wanted to. Flat across like that. And in your painting, you don't have to go side to side. I always get talking and I forget. I'm like, oh, this is so neat if I do it this way. You don't have to go side to side, right? With your mountain, mountains, right? Especially when you're putting the color on. You can once you blend it out, it will kind of move a lot further than this. Right? I'm gonna take a lot of this majority of the paint that we just put on, and just scrape it off. You can see that I could make a whole nother mountain with this. I could do something and actually save it later on in the painting. Right? Scrape the majority of that up. Just save it for later. Right? Make a tree out of it. Make something else out of it. We'll come in with our 1-inch brush. Since we like to finish the sides, we might as well go off the edge over here. Get in your guys away for a minute. Again, you can see how we left. I had the mountain here, and I put that little swipe on this side. You get these differences. When you go to blend it, it's going to mix and turn a lot lighter than what it looked like initially, right? And so when you add another bit of dark color, it'll make this little shadow for you all on its own. You can even take some more of it in there. Just you do whatever, right? As long as you're not blending it too hard, you'll get this cool bit of shadow. So now it looks like there's maybe another bit of rock that came in front of that, or anything. Make up your own stories, right? Come down here, and trying to leave this little bit of light underneath the clouds. This side, you can come this side, you can come up here, take this guy up here, bring him down in front of that other one. You've got these different planes. Not planes like in the sky, but different planes of your painting. Over, this way, and it almost looks like there's two mountains kind of crisscrossing in front of each other now. And these suckers will grow on you. Okay, so be careful. How hard you're pulling down. Eventually, you're gonna run out of room. Take these over here. Always gotta finish the sides. It's very light on this side. We'll finish our mountain. We had a request for a cabin in there, so we will throw a cabin. Nice and foggy down here. Being able to tell that there's a difference between these two sections. Just by taking some of that thick paint along the edge, dragging it down into that lighter area. Now it looks like we've got these two bits that are kind of crisscrossing. So I'm gonna come in and make our shadow color and our highlight color. I like using a little bit of the blue. In this case, we're using the sky blue. The magic fly set that I have here, and a little bit of our the original mixture that we made our mountains out of. That's gonna create this kind of grayish, bluish, whitish sort of snow color. Little shadowy snow color, and then we'll take our white out there, just kind of pull it out there, and then we'll have our highlights. Highlights and lowlights, right? I like doing the shadows first. You can always play with your highlights and make everything a bit brighter. So what we do for that, pull it out nice and flat. Take a little bit on your knife. Well, a lot of it, I guess. And hold your palette knife on the same angle as your canvas. Your canvas is bent back. Mine's probably at about 10 degrees. So I'm holding my knife about 10 degrees. Instead of being flat, it's a little bit tilted. If yours is tilted more, it's flat on the table, do it like that. And we're really only holding it with 2 fingers and maybe a little pinky on the front, index finger on the top, just to balance it, right? To balance it out. And then you come in and just very lightly but quickly sort of drag it. And whatever deposits onto the canvas, let it stay there. You don't want to try to overdo it or come in and fix, or add little bits or different places, because you're going to end up ruining all these little cool breaks that it does on its own. So one cool thing about this technique, you'll never have it look exactly the same, because the paint will never break the same on the canvas in the same spot. Again, so you got these one-of-a-kind paintings that will never be recreated, no matter how many times I've tried painting the same painting. bit similar. Maybe there's a bit of light that would come down and touched over on this side. Right, again, we're not covering all of our shadows, and we're not covering all of the mountain color that we had made, right? That black and crimson and blue. You don't want to cover all of that. And again, you don't want to go over it too much. Don't try to force it into that spot. If it doesn't take, it just doesn't take. It's just how it's going to be. Come down this way. You can always go over your shadows. That's why I like putting the shadows in first, because you come in with your highlights, do them, and then you come in with your shadows and you're just trying to make these little bits or fill in these little areas, right? Especially if you're a beginner painter, it makes it easier to just come in. You can always keep putting more and more and more white on until you get your desired look, right? Come in, you can make these little, we got a little bit of a, like a ridge that's coming down. You can do whatever you want to do, and that's the best thing about this technique. Guess what? You go back in, scrape it off, change your mountain shape. Maybe your mountain comes up a little bit higher and it goes up into your sky. Or you come back later on and you paint it with black gesso or liquid black and let that sucker dry, and then you come back with a space scene like the one that's behind here. You can't really see it back here. Or the one that's up there out of frame. You guys have seen my space paintings. I love painting space. You get all these cool colors. It doesn't have to look like anything you've ever seen before, and it's really neat. I love painting space. Alright, we're going to come back in and make a little bit of white here with our DJ voice. And again, we're not covering up all of those kind of shadowy colors. Let's say, let me take a little bit of blue, right? A little bit of blue, a little bit of that black color. Mix them up here. Don't know why I put it over here like an idiot. A little of that darker color. And what looks really neat is if you're brave enough, you can come back in with that darker blue color and just kind of throw it, the blue and black, kind of throw it in different places in here. Just really make those shadows stand out. Not too crazy though. Don't want to be too nuts. Don't want to go too ham on it, right? Maybe over here in these darker areas we've got these nice little textured bits where we've created our little bits. We can throw a little bit of a shadow in there. Right? Got a little bit of a hump of white, throw a little bit of shadow behind it. You can literally play with it all day long. That's what I love doing. Come back in, and I'll usually take a step back from it, and I'll look, and I'll go, man, it would look, it needs a little bit more darkness. See that? See how beautiful that is? Just by, it looked great before. You throw a little bit of darker shadow in there though, and it just makes it like mysterious. Like what is in there? What's in this crevice that we really can't see with the light? Right? The light's having such a hard time trying to find its way down in there. Just makes it a little bit mysterious, and you wonder like what is going on down in there. It's where Gollum lives, right? Got Smeagol going down in there. A little bit of shadow here and there. Not too much though. Starts looking really cool, and then you go back and you're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have put that shadow there. After all, right? It's always funny. I'll go back and I make these videos. I make 2 videos a week, and I'll go back in and I'll be watching myself and I'll be like, stop painting, don't. And I know in my head that I keep going, but I really liked it the way that it was before. But sometimes you're too close to the project to notice, that you might be screwing it up a bit, right? And I do it all the time. Then you go back and you'll look at those paintings and you'll be like, man, I wish I would have just stopped at that point or before that point. And that's, for me, that's something I always look. Every time I see a painting, I'll see my mistakes, right? Because we are our own worst critics, right? So we'll see my mistakes, my quote-unquote mistakes that I made. When somebody might look at it and go, wow, that's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. How did he get that to do that? And in my mind, I'm like, oh, someone's going to look at this and just hate it because I hate it. You know what I mean? All right, so we're going to take our 1-inch brush or 2-inch brush, whatever you want to do. For this instance back here, I went with the 1-inch brush just because it's much smaller. And we just tapped in to kind of create this bit of mist down around the bottom, right? Same thing over here. We're going to come in sort of hard, right? Alright, just gonna kind of pull those bits out just by tapping. We're gonna tap, and then the more and more and more you tap, the more you'll pull it out. See, like that? So we're just gonna tap back and forth in the angle that we want our mountain to be. Alright, so here I'm kind of starting up, you know, kind of vertical, and then by the time we come down, we're going horizontal. You can see the brush like that. Going down the mountain. Shoot, you can even put a whole nother mountain in there and call this one done. Like, we don't have to add a cabin. Cynthia. No, but I will. I'll put a cabin in there somewhere. Now what I like to do is you can take all that, you can get some of your liquid white from down in here and get it onto your brush. Come in, make it a little bit brighter. Or you can come in with your circles. And again, we don't want to have this, see I started up here, I don't want to have this straight line of fog across, right? So in mine, I like to come down, maybe pop up, come back down, come up, sort of in this U shape each time. And that way, you don't have this straight line of fog like somebody came and just cut everything off, right? And you have to make those sounds when you're painting. Otherwise it doesn't work. Come in, we can swipe up a bit on the bottom. Again, not in a straight line, but we're coming up this way, kind of turning the brush, right? Come back in, fix all these lines down in here. Don't overmix. You can leave little bits, little imperfections, and that'll make it look like there's shadows in your fog, just like there's shadows up in our clouds, right? All right, we said we wanted a cabin in there, yeah? So, what do we take? We can put a bit of water in there too.
Stephanie Corwin says it blows her mind how little paint you use.
Yeah. I always have too much paint on my palette at the, you know, before I start. Like even now, I've got all these greens that in this case I might not even use. You know, I might keep it nice and dark. I didn't know what we were going to paint today. And that's how I like coming into these videos, you know, not knowing how it's going to go and just sort of making it up as we go along. And some of the times you don't even use the paints that you put out. In which case you can, you know, keep them on your palette for a day or two, try to do another painting, or I've seen people that try to save them like in a bag or scoop them up and put them, you know, in the fridge so they stay kind of cold. But yeah, you don't really need a whole lot of paint. You know what I mean? These are little, about quarter sizes, about the size of a dime, about the size of a dime. I always use more of the blue, black, and crimson, so I need bigger piles than the white, of course. You need bigger piles of that, but you really don't need a lot of paint to make a painting. Especially with this wet on wet technique, it'll just blend and move, and you might put one brush stroke that'll grow by 3 or 4 inches. So.
Monica says you make it look so easy.
Well, Monica, I've been practicing for almost 2 years now. With over 300 sales. Go to etsy.com/shop. I keep doing this because that's what I do in my YouTube videos, and I forget we're live on YouTube, so I can't put in the little text. But yeah, go to etsy.com/shop/happylandscapeart, right? You can see I've got maybe 221 sales on there. The rest are kind of offline or you know, events that I've done. But all it takes is practice and a little bit of natural talent, right? The first painting I ever did, still sitting over there on the wall. Never for sale, right? Always save your first painting. But yeah, thank you. I paint a lot. So the more and more you do things, the more kind of things you remember. You know, this looked cool last time, or I didn't like the way that came out, so I'm not going to do that on the next painting.
Craig Sheeran says, Bob Ross got me into painting wet on wet. The finished product looks awesome.
I love it. Same thing. When my wife's mom passed away, I was watching a lot of Bob Ross just to kind of break away from the sadness of everything. And I said to myself, he's always saying, oh, you know, anyone can do it. It just takes a little bit of, you know, drive in order to be able to want to paint. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm pretty sure I could do this. You know, he's always saying, and she got me the stuff, and I did my first painting, and turns out I could do it. And I love it. Every painting is different.
Craig Sheeran would like to know if you could run through what paints you were using today.
So we did that earlier on, but I've got some of the Bob Ross colors and then some of these Magic Fly colors. You can get the Magic Fly set on Amazon. But from the Magic Fly, we have lemon yellow, yellow green, orange red, purple, and violet. And then the rest are the Bob Ross colors: phthalo green, sap green, Van Dyke brown. Oh, this sky blue is from the Magic Fly as well. We have phthalo blue, alizarin crimson, midnight black, titanium white, bright red, yellow ochre, cad yellow, and that's it for the Bob Ross colors. All right, so right here I'm going to make up, if we're going to do this cabin, right, I want to make up some kind of forest, some far off forest colors like Bob always does with his fan brush. So I took a little bit of the phthalo green, the sap green, a little bit of the black, a little bit of the crimson. Sure, you can throw some blue in there too, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Get it on both sides of our big size 10 fan brush. And we'll come back, maybe we'll put a big tree somewhere in here. So let's decide, maybe our forest lives down here. We're just doing these little far off deal, kind of staying in our fog, right? The fog makes it look like the mountains are behind the forest. So you gotta have fog at the bottom of your mountain. Come back in again, get some more of that paint. Pop them up. Now, if you're only doing them, you know, without connecting them, they're going to look like fence posts, right? I saw Bob say that in an episode one time. So, you know, I kind of go like there's a heartbeat monitor. We're going up and going down. Boop, 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 and just constantly tapping. You want the bottom to be nice and thick, right? You don't really want to be able to see through the bottoms. You want to be able to see through the top, but not the bottom. And you don't want them all on the same height or the same size. So maybe on this side we'll come up a little bit. Up here, so we got this bit, it's kind of falling down the mountain.
Monica is asking for some water and waterfalls.
Water and waterfalls. We might be past the waterfall section. There's not much I can do for a waterfall right now. But I can put some water in here for sure. I can put the water. I always like mine being real thick. Like I want to be able to see some of it from the sides, right? I want to be able to see some of the mountains sticking away, especially when we do our big trees. I want to have the paint real super thick, and that's when we use up a lot of our color, is when we're doing our large trees. But these far off ones, you don't need much for. Come in with our 2-inch brush again. Same thing as we did on our mountain, right? Just push a little bit harder. Again, you can come in here, you can get some of that liquid white, and just kind of, again, up and down like a heartbeat monitor, different heights, different levels, and you create this misty sort of fog, right? Swipe up with it, and that gives your treetops these nice, you know, pointy tops. You can even take this guy right here and just make him stand out a bit more from the rest of the crowd just by giving him a few little branches, right? Nothing crazy. Swipe up from the bottom so we don't really see the bottom bit. But now you can tell and look back there and go, ah, those are pine trees, because I can see there's a pine tree right there. And again, don't put your little dashed far off forest on this straight line. You always want to have, you know, a bit of movement, right? The forest never all grows the same rate. You never have, all the trees are never the same size. It's the one thing I see in these kind of beginner groups, is that, you know, all the trees are in this very straight line way off in the distance, and they're not very kind of mushed, I like to say, right? You got to mush the bottom of it. You don't want to be able to see through the bottom. You can take again, come back in, again, going like this, going like that, and just mix it all in around the bottom again. Maybe we'll put a tall tree over here. Who knows? Because we never plan these things out. Put a big bright green tree back there, right? Shoot, we can even take a bit of our liquid white, come into this bright green, maybe some of the phthalo green back here with the liquid white on our very small little micro-sized fan brush. What are these again? Nic Pro, right? N-I-C-P-R-O, Nic Pro. That's what I like to use. Maybe put some of this just very sparsely, right? We don't want to have a whole lot of green color back there because we want to have a lot of green color on our front trees. So just every so often, we're going to skip a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit more liquid white so it stands out. And it's nice and easy to put on back there, right? Very lightly though. You don't want to cover up all your shadows, obviously. Otherwise, what was the point of putting them in there, guys? Now, you might not be able to see it from back there, but when you're up close to this painting, or when I take a picture of it and post it on my Instagram page or my Facebook page, you'll be able to zoom in and see all these little different bits of green bouncing off of that kind of darkish, blackish color. Makes it look really neat. And down around the bottom again, you drag some of that green down into your fog. It's going to look awesome. I'm always preaching it, guys. Differences in color, right? Got to have a difference in color, even if it's just in your fog. Like someone, you don't want to have this just plain, you know, same kind of foggy color. All right, before we go too nuts, let's let me take these and we're going to pull them out to the side. Almost forgot we're going to add a cabin in this one. All right, get a bit of that dark color again. I'm just going to pull them out sort of on a, maybe like a 20-degree angle, right? Not on a diagonal, but sort of just pull it out this way. We'll put our cabin way out back there and we'll put our big tree up here. Never know when you paint with Josh what the heck we're going to do. Back there. Cover over the sides because we always, what guys, what do? We finish the sides, right? Want to have no unfinished painting on the sides. All right, so now we have, you can see, little bits of different dark, right? We're not using the same, not over mixing it. You want to have these dark bits so you can put some highlights on top of it. A bit higher. We've got this mountain, you know, a little bit of a hill that's coming down. Again, you want to have differences in color. Put our canvas up on that little lip there. And who knows what we're going to do, Josh. We could put snow, we could put grass, we could do, whatever, let's put grass. Maybe a mixture. How are you going to do that, Josh? How are you going to mix snow and grass together? How are you going to do it? Coming at you from the studio, everybody. All right, let's see. Let's get a little bit of our blues, mixture of the two blues down here. And then we got this crystal clear blue kind of pool down around the bottom. So we're going to pull it in from that side, pull it in from that side. You leave a bit of that gray. You can always cover over what you don't like. What do we got back here too? Maybe we just change our idea. Just very lightly though. I want to have differences in blues down here. They don't all have to be the same blue. Right? It may lose all the blue and end up being mostly gray. All depends. Get a little bit of red in there somewhere. Just because. Just because we want. Just mixing it back and forth. Now we got these little differences in color in there, right? You make like a riverbank along the side. Always changing my idea. Never, ever, ever the same. I hate painting the same painting over and over and over again. So, you know, you could do the sky. Your sky's never going to look the same. You're never going to have your clouds in the same spot. Your mountains are always going to look different, you know. But when you get around down the bottom, don't just keep doing the same old thing. Change it up. Try something new. You might just like it. All right, everybody. How long have we been filming today? Let's check this out. About,
48 minutes.
looks like 52 on the YouTube cam. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? Let's do this instead. Why don't we let's get a little bit of our dark sienna brown. I'm gonna throw in like some shoreline back here. Maybe the cabin will be on the other side. You never know. So by sort of doing the same thing, we're just kind of mushing this a little bit with the palette knife right onto the canvas. We'll come down, and then we can come back in and highlight it and figure out what we want to do, right? But for mind, I gotta have something back here, just so I can see where we're gonna go. You know what I mean? Gotta have something to look at. We're literally like mushing it, not really doing much. And then we can pull it out and decide where we want our land to live. Go back here. Off this side, and it'll come down. We got like this little cove back in here. Maybe our land comes down a little bit further on this side. Never know what we're gonna do. I think that's why you guys like painting with me. It's just a surprise. And you never know what it's gonna look like. Because I don't know. And if I don't know, you guys won't know what the heck we're trying to do over here. Alright. Come in, go a little bit with our white, kind of mix it in with that brown, give us a little bit of dirt. A little bit of dirt color, throw some of the yellow ochre in there. Looks really neat when you mix the yellow ochre and the brown. Not over mix it. And then we can come in, well, let's come back here and decide what we're going to do. Maybe there's a bit of land that comes down this way. Dang lip on this easel. Not over mixing what the land's going to look like, right? Just let it deposit in that spot back there and don't even worry about it. Don't try to fill it in. Don't try to do anything. Just let the knife do it for you. Whatever happens, happens. And then we deal with the rest, right? Come down this way. Again, I'm not listening to my own advice. Stop, Josh. Stop what you're doing right now. There we go. Take a little bit of that dark brown again. And come back in, make our little bit of shadows, maybe some rocks back in there. All right, just drop it on. Whatever happens is going to happen. Bam. Just like that. A couple little mixtures. We've got this kind of dirty, muddy bit of shoreline back here. Some taller rocks, some darker stuff. Throw some black in there if you wanted to. Black, blue. Right? Not over mixing anything. Maybe we got this big old rock that sits over here, right on the side. Take him, put a little bit of that brownish yellow on there, maybe a little bit of the white, and just real messy rock. Maybe a bird crapped all over this rock. You never know. A little bit more brown, just kind of mix it up. A bit of black on this side, perhaps. Yeah, now you got this, little imperfection in your painting. That's what you want. Take some of our liquid white, a little bit of the titanium white. You want it really liquidy. We'll come back, come over here, come back in, just kind of scrape through all that mess. You got this little lip at the bottom. We're going to scrape through that and just create our bit of water. It comes out, comes around. Don't have it too thick. But if you leave it on there thick enough, there's a very fine line. You'll get this ridge of thicker kind of liquid white that looks like a little wave rolling through there. And again, it doesn't have to connect, it doesn't have to look the same everywhere. It's however you want it to do. But remember, it's mainly got to be straight. You don't want to have these crazy angles. Don't want to have crazy angles. All right, let's throw our little cabin back in here. figure out where our guy lives. And again, we're going to use the same 3 colors that we made our mountain out of. Blue, crimson, and black, right? I'm going to mix it up. See if we can't chuck a little cabin back in here. Let's see, maybe our guy lives back here. Come down. All we're doing is just putting on the thick color right now. And see how I changed the angle of the blade, right? Right here, it's going down at a 45 this way, 45 the other way. Do the same thing with the same tool. Don't have to change anything, okay? Just want to make sure your perspective is right. So have your one side kind of come down a little bit further in the front. Throw a little bit back off here. My cabins always seem to run off the canvas. Don't want to have too much paint on there. Get rid of some of that dark. You want to know how much. You can see I took off a lot. Just get the color on there to start with, okay? Come in if we've got some snow on the mountaintop back there. Maybe we got some snow on the roof. A little bit of snow on the roof. A little bit of snow. Put some of that dark color down though. Want to have some of your dark color, and that way when you drop your snow on, you'll get these shadows. Right, bam, just like so. Come in with our light brown. Just kind of swoop down like that. Swoop down like that. Nice and easy, guys. And we'll take our darker brown, right, in the shadow back here. Put our darker brown back there. And that gives you your turns and makes that angle. Clean up this edge. Nice little straight edge there. A bit of snow on that sucker. Just like so. Bam, cabin off the mountains, right? Take your small edge of your knife, scrape through that thing. Go along the edges. Don't need it to be the same every which way. Magic Fly set for Christmas. And in my head, I'm like, I'm never going to use that. I'm a Bob Ross paints guy. Like, why did you buy me these? And she's standing right here. And the one day that I tested them out, I was like, why have I not been using these from the beginning? Like, these are fantastic. They're not as dry as Bob Ross paints are. So they're very wet, right? If they're not as dry, they're obviously wet. And they stick like highlights. They stick better. So I love these colors for my trees. All right, again, we're just going to come down, kind of making these zigzag patterns, different areas, staying on our branches, covering over some of our trunk. And then I go back and I wipe off the brush each time because I'm just going to straight yellow ochre. See what it looks like when we mix it in with this rock. Look at that. That's fantastic. It's fantastic, you guys. Let's forget we have the orange too. Just different colors. Maybe the sun's bouncing off this rock in certain areas, right? Come back in, take our liquid white, and we'll come around the edge just with the corner, and then we're going to use the whole side, just like that. Pull the water line out. You put another little wave in over here, whatever you want. And we'll take the rest of that big old color, this big old pile of color right here. Again, bouncing our brush into it, getting it super goopy onto the brush, okay? I'm going to come in, we're going to go over all this area that we had done before with our real thick, goopy paint. Okay? Right in front of our rock, right in front of everything. Thick chunks of paint sticking off the canvas. Okay, we're going to finish the sides over here. Like that. And then we got one more decision to make, guys. What color are we going to do these bushes? I want to have a few different colors. Maybe we'll put some green, some yellow, maybe a bit of red. Oh, maybe we used all our red. A bit of orange, maybe. Who knows? A bit of our yellow. Greens come up like that. Bit of our yellow. Get a bit over here, maybe some over there. Again, we're not covering up the entire shadow. We want to leave some darkness in there. You gotta wash off after every color that we use, right? We got yellow, a little bit of the phthalo green, a little bit more yellow. Got our little rock over on the side.
Craig Schumann says orange. Cynthia says yellow and orange to cool the sky down.
Yellow and orange. We got some orange down in here. We might do another one back there. Here's a little bit of orange. And bam, Just in a little area, again, leaving these darker areas in between. And each time we're going into our liquid white, right? I'm going to do this dark violet because we haven't used it and it's getting a little sad and jealous that every other color's been used except for violet. We'll come down, maybe the last little bit, we'll put some violet down in here. Doesn't really stand out a lot, but again, when you're coming and looking at it up close for these details, you'll see all these different colors, okay? And then we can even do a couple more cool little bushes back in here. And then we'll call it done, guys. We'll call it done. I like this one over here. You might need a little bit of maybe a little bit of yellow on this guy just to help. Probably not one of mine. So we're going to take our liquid paint thinner, our brush cleaner, right into the pile of the dark mixture that we've mixed up with our liner, script liner here. And we're just going to take it and twist it on the way out so you get this nice sharp edge. Now we didn't really need the yardstick. Maybe some of you guys on YouTube, if you're just tuning in for the first time ever for a Happy Little Landscapes live first historic broadcast, right? You've never seen me paint. Grab a yardstick. If they're like $3, you can get them at Lowe's. You can probably find them somewhere else. I found mine at Lowe's. And it helps you when you want to do small details. You can rest on the yardstick without touching the canvas, right? You don't have to try to float and do it. You can rest and do it. So it's exactly like using a pencil, okay? Grab yourself a yardstick, come down, and make our little family of birds off in the distance. I love when somebody does one of my tutorials, and then I look for the birds to see how many people they have in their family, right? So I saw one, some guy sent in and did one of my UFO tutorials, and he had 4 birds. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, he didn't just copy me, right? He put his family in there, but he's got 4 people in his family. I never like my birds to all have the same kind of flap, so make your bees different shapes. We got me, my wife, and then our little daughter. My daughter always has the same kind of flap. It's a very sharp V, like she's about to just take off and explode onto the world, right? So, again, I want to thank you guys for joining this first ever historic live broadcast on YouTube. Love my Facebook fans that come and watch me every Sunday. We're going to do this every Sunday, guys. I put out videos on Tuesdays and Fridays on YouTube. So if you don't already subscribe on YouTube, share the link, try my paintings, send them into Facebook, let me see them. You can search my Facebook page at Happy Landscape Art, and then you can find me on Instagram at Happy Little Landscapes. Of course, YouTube is youtube.com/C for channel /C /Happy Little Landscapes. Okay, you guys can find me there, and I hope you subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the more videos I can bring to you guys each week. The more things you guys buy from my shop, the more canvases I can buy, and then keep bringing you guys free videos, okay? So, once again, it's been fun today at Happy Little Landscape Studio, and we're going to say goodbye. We'll see you guys on the next painting, and I hope you like this, hope you subscribe, and it's been fun. I always ramble on too long. So why don't we hit the buttons, and we'll end the live videos. Hello?
I have to wait for the delay.
We'll delay. It's 20 seconds of delay on these things. First time we're ever doing a live YouTube video, so we're figuring it out as we